gonna say, how's the very helpful.
Yeah, I was just saying.
That's my hurts a lot of work. Everywhere. Julie was telling me, actually Julie's parents told me, John's over there.
All right, I think we'll bring the meeting to order.
We average about 25 fatalities a year.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the December 7th, 2016 meeting of the FinCom. Westcat is here, and we will grant permission to Westcat to record the meeting. Is there anyone else who would like to record the meeting? I see no affirmative responses. We are awaiting Chairman Hyde, so I think perhaps what we'll do is do our minutes first,
Yeah,
Mike.
you can do it, and then she said if you got done with your business, I should take it.
Okay, but she will be coming.
She'll be coming, she's gonna be late, she said another meeting, so.
Okay.
She doesn't, she's not exactly sure when she's gonna make it, so.
Okay. All right. Well, we will move to the minutes. You should have all received them by email. I think we'll do them by date because I understand that there were certain folks who were not at some of these meetings. So if you weren't at the meeting, obviously you should abstain from the vote. So taking first the minutes from June 15, 2016. Does anyone have any edits or additions? See no affirmative responses. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Thank you. Moving on to the minutes from September 27, 2016. Any edits or additions? See no affirmative responses. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve. I wasn't, I think I was, yeah. Make a motion to approve.
Let's see.
Oh, you've got that, okay, good. Okay, I was there.
Okay.
I'll motion.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Okay, moving right along, the minutes from our October 18, 2016 meeting. Any additions or changes?
I gave a couple changes to Jane.
Okay.
It was a typo and just there's nothing substantial.
Okay, we should just put this on the record. So the change is on the second page under the comment regarding, what is the comment about the BOS as a guideline? There's a sentence that says we met with Tim Bonfatti, that to be moved to the next paragraph having to do with the school capital project, because that's where it belongs. So thank you for that, Barb. So with that change, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Seconded. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marjorie. And then lastly, the minutes from November 14, 2016. Any changes or additions? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve? Barb?
I'll make a motion to, other people, your Rob is there, he can make that motion.
I'll make a motion to abstain from all the others.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Okay, great. Thank you very much. So tonight we have invited Town Administrator Mike Jaillet and Nancy Hyde to speak to us on a number of issues to really bring us up to date. One of the issues we've just talked about is University Station and what we've read in the paper about the increase in public safety needs there and how that's affecting us operationally. There's the Islington Task Force. We heard a lot about that from Nora. Thank you, Nora, for that. Thank you for being here. And also just hoping for a preview on capital for next year and perhaps any news in terms of what you anticipate for the warrant. The warrant is, of course, open and will remain open until January 9th. Okay, so that it will close after our first meeting, just before January 4th. I understand that Chairman Hyde will be joining us a little bit later, so it over to you. Thank you very
So you
much.
may be disappointed with some of what I have to say.
Perfect timing.
I knew that.
Almost one.
Yeah, almost.
Sorry, double T.
Thank you, Chairman Hyde, for
Oh.
joining us.
Great to see you.
Impeccable timing.
Did Mike do a good job already?
Yeah, he just said hello.
Very, very succinct.
Great.
All right, that was so fun. So I'll keep going. So there's a few, I've prepared a few words on those different subjects. There are some that we're not ready to discuss, so I'll move to those. One is we haven't even really dug into, we started this morning, the long range planning committee started to dig into some of the major capital projects that are on the agenda for consideration. And the detailed ones, the more routine ones that would come through the budget processes, that haven't been really reviewed. So we don't have anything that we're really report tonight on capital for the upcoming year.
Why don't I just, I'll highlight the ones we talked about, because Mike and Barb were both at the meeting.
Yeah.
Something that has been kind of lurking out there, but is percolating up as being a high priority is the Council on Aging building. The pictures show us there's a lot of exterior rot. There's roof tile issues. There, I'll call them maybe design flaws from the beginning, where there's a lot of pieces of wood that layer on each other with a lot of seams that I think facilitated water coming in. So there are some important improvements that need to be made, and the cost estimates early on about $300,000 worth of repair work for a building that cost all in $800,000 originally.
600,000.
600. What was the 800 number for Delta?
Well, it might have been
We had a
the
grant for
engineering. We had a
600,000.
grant for 600, and I think the engineering and the soft costs were covered.
So the building is almost 20 years old. So it was a building done on the cheap, really was. It was not, it was, you know, not the kind of construction that we expect today when we're doing these buildings. And it's deteriorated over time, so it is a high priority. It's been brought forth as that, and its time is more than come to be addressed. So that was one significant one. We heard from the school department about their important infrastructure, IT needs for wiring and wireless, and I'm not gonna pretend to be able to even replicate what Steve Gillette said.
One can talk to it all.
Yeah.
You understood it all, right?
Well, I mean, they'll be coming forward,
Yeah.
but it was really well presented in terms of what their needs are and to expand their capacity within buildings. This was a within building
It was, yeah.
IT infrastructure that they need to invest in. And they have an opportunity to do so now in this window where there's a 40% reimbursement program out there for them. So not only do they need it for their educational use, for capacity within the school buildings, but they want to do it at a time when there's financial support to do it. So that timing becomes pretty important right now, and I thought they did a impressive job in explaining that, and they've really got a handle on it. So we'll let them, when the time comes, be their own advocates for that. That was what we heard about today. And the third one was the tennis program, the tennis court, not the tennis as in what the recreation would do with teaching or anything, but the actual tennis courts that we have in town. So many of you will recall, and those of you who weren't part of it, that when we did the fire station in Islington, we took down a tennis court. A newly constructed tennis court. It was only 3 years old, but it was necessary to get the real estate that we needed for the fire station. And we said at the time, I said at the time in many public meetings, that the Board of Selectmen was committed to replicating that tennis court somewhere in that vicinity, not specific what we could do, but that we had to put off addressing that until we had a handle on how the fire station worked out. And we kind of knew it, but not as much as we do today, the East Street Bridge reconstruction that you have all heard about. So that's a determining factor in what we do right there. And we talked today about getting a survey done to know what we can fit into what is constrained space by the basketball court that exists and the temporary fire station as it exists today. What can we fit in there? Can we or do we need to come up with some other solution? And the rest of the tennis program was a discussion of resurfacing Downey, addressing the high school 6 courts that exist there, and what do we do in terms potentially of lighting them? So there's a lot of work already in process, and we added a little bit more. We asked for an understanding of if those 6 courts become lighted, what additional hours of playtime will we afford the town? Is it worth that investment? And there are issues with 30-foot poles, 50-foot poles, or not worth doing altogether. And we're not the only ones taking this up. It's the rec commission that's very much involved in the discussion. So Nicole Banks is the rec director, was before us and giving us a lay of the land and letting us know what additional work we do. So those were the 3 capital projects that we felt were important. We knew there were either issues or opportunities, and we wanted to hear about them in detail today. So we'll be looking at them further and other capital expenditures that we need to consider. But those are like single items that I think are really important.
Nancy, can I just ask, on the senior center, I understand the exterior needs to be replaced or revamped. Are you looking at the long-term needs in the senior center in terms of what they're gonna need long-term in terms of design, layout, that sort of thing?
So what we're talking about right now is purely the current footprint, the current building. There's long been, and Mike, you can talk about that more, about the need to expand it. That's not part of the discussion we're having today. You wanna?
Well, the original concept that we had when we first proposed the senior center was not a senior center, actually, it was a community center. It was at least twice the size, it was $1.5 million. We fully designed it at the time. We didn't get a town meeting appropriation. There's a reason for that, I won't get into that. We were brought back to only, the point was that we were gonna have $600,000 from a grant for the senior center portion of it, and then the other $900,000 to $1 million was going to be funded by the town, adding to the appropriation. We're going to build one building that was going to be for all the human service departments. So recreation would have had space in there, and their offices would have been there. The senior center would have been there. The nurse, the youth and family services was a division for going in there. Housing and veteran services. So it was supposed to be like the Carver Street facility is the land use facility. That was supposed to be a human service facility. If you ask me, I'd say we should someday complete that idea. I think it was an excellent idea. It would have brought those services together. They interact. They feed off each other. They share clients with each other. They should be in the same building so they can coordinate their services physically as well as. I mean, they meet once a month. They coordinate their services, but they could do it more effectively if they were there. Land use has significantly improved since we created the Carver Street facility. Don't have a land use facility spread out throughout town. It's one place, one stop shopping almost for the residents that were interested in it. So, to me, the COA of that building should be expanded.
A little bit to Mary Ann's question though about kind of if you're doing all this exterior work. What we kind of learned today was that nothing has really been done over the last 20 years. So some of this stuff, because of poor design, has just built up. So it's just this is an accumulation of things that should have been maintained. And that was something that I wasn't aware of, even being on long-range planning, about having the town having somebody within DPW is really a facilities manager. Yeah, who's really looking at all of the non-school facilities. And so they'll probably get, the school has a very good program for going through maintenance on each of the buildings, and so.
I would say now the DPW does as well. Did it before?
No, I think they kind of said this wouldn't have happened if they'd already had this in place.
Yeah, well, I don't want to lose sight of the fact that it was a building done on the cheap.
Oh, yeah, oh, no, exactly, but I mean, we might be on our second roof by now.
I guess the question I have is, how have the needs of our seniors changed, if at all, in the last 20 years?
It's only growing, as the
And
population's growing.
can we accommodate or address those needs, meet those needs in that center for the next 20 years?
Well, we'll certainly continue to do a lot, but with the aging population and baby boomers going into more of a need or desire to have facilities like that, our population will dictate that it could have more space, but we'll make do with what we have for now, we just have to make it a better building for everybody. And then in time, if we find we have the opportunity down the road to consider expanding, it's not in our near term. Right now, we can only do so much, but I think investing in the building and getting it back up to what it should be.
Any other questions, Peter?
Hey, you mentioned there was a window on that IT reimbursement program. How far out is that window?
A year and a half? did I say so?
2018.
That's an FCC program.
So I wasn't clear, Peter, if we had 2 fiscal years, like, we could go into the next fiscal year beyond. It sounds like we need to do it now for FY18. I'm not sure it would be available for FY19. I don't know.
No, that's exactly that.
Yeah, I wasn't really clear whether it was.
So it's imminent, and they could use we were talking 1 gigabyte that they've got to 10 gigabytes that they could use, and you might understand that, I don't. But it sounded like it was a capacity issue, and they definitely needed more capacity and speed.
The original window was for 5 years too, so
Right,
it's
yeah.
nearing it.
They're already, and Charlie may know this, but the IT group is already studying this, having people come in to look at the buildings, to make proposals, to bid on the work. So they are really fully entrenched in it, and it would all be subject to a town meeting approval.
Thanks.
You mentioned putting the Morrison tennis courts where the basketball court is, where the DPW, the temporary fire station is now. Why aren't we going to return that building to DPW?
Well, it's all part of the mix. If Todd was sitting here, Todd Fortune, I bet he'd say, give it back to me, I can make good use of it. The fact is that the amount of real estate we have in Islington is limited. So we have to figure out what to do with it. Now, we have the sprung structure, that big white dome structure that we purchased or leased? Purchasing.
We might have leased it, but,
Or leased and
purchase.
purchased. Over at Carvey Street, and that was the transfer of the equipment over to there, and they'll make use of that. We have competing interests, and again, I'll say, we made a commitment on the Board of Selectmen, and I did up in front of town meeting, that we would bring that tennis court back, that we weren't going to lose something, an asset in the community, as a result of doing the fire station project.
But does
So-
it become cost effective to rip down the perfectly good building just to put a tennis court there?
You already ripped out a perfectly good tennis court.
Yes.
I know, now we're just adding insult to injury.
I don't, we've got to decide what delivers the best. Again, I think Todd would say he could make use of it, but he does have capacity over there, so we'll be.
What he was
we'll be
using it
discussing.
for over there was moved to the Spum building, so, that was given to him so we could then use it as a temporary fire station. And I think Nancy's exactly correct. There was more or less an implication that the town would give serious consideration to returning the tennis court, which the residents in the area wanted rebuilt when we reconfigured for Little League, and we had to remove it when we completed the fire station. So sort of the quid pro quo for getting the fire station located where it got located, we would consider a promise.
Yeah, and I would say that building is just a garage space. Now it's been finished out to take care of the fire, but it's not a special building.
It's a block structure.
It's not a valuable building.
I mean, it does make sense, since you've already got a baseball field and a basketball court there, that it'd be more of a recreation than kind of a mixed use.
The other thing we talked about today in the meeting was, let's just make sure we're also thinking about where are the other options for where this tennis court could go. Something like Hanlon, is that field space potentially a location, so we're not set on anything yet, but we've got to address it.
Well, that's the next question. I mean, how much use will these tennis courts get? And then in the Downey area, there are 2 courts there that are going begging 90% of the time.
You're going to replicate that tennis court somehow, some way.
I asked that question when we were talking about taking it out, and we never got usage. I was told, the rec department keeps saying that it was the one that was being used a lot, whether it was being used for playing tennis or, you know, kids just playing on the court, I don't know.
Any other,
There was no definitive number.
any other questions on the capital preview? No, I don't see anything.
I prepared notes were about, Islington Task Force, but I know that, you got a presentation last time, and I don't know if you have any further questions on that, or?
I assume there's no update since you were here.
Nothing new yet.
We didn't have-
The task force will meet again in January, so
Okay.
we haven't met since I spoke to you.
So I'll reiterate, we are not expecting anything at this town meeting out of this activity. Still has a long way to go, and we're waiting at the Board of Selectmen level for the task force to make a recommendation to us, so we haven't even heard a recommendation on how to respond to the RFP. We're just keeping abreast of it.
Nora gave us a very thorough update,
I
took us through all this.
Very good. She knows, and like, they've been at all the meetings, I've gone to, I went to one in the fall, John Hickey did, that Michael Walsh is representing some of these, task force, so it's being well covered by the town.
I can't remember if you mentioned, Nora, before, is there a timeline for the task force of when they want to actually have some sort of recommendation? Because I do hear
There
from
is,
people who
yes.
kind of said, oh, they've already made their decision. I said, no, they haven't, and,
So
you know,
they're at the point now where they have 6 plans before them, and the task force, when we met on November 10th, was asked before the next meeting in mid-January to review those 6 plans, and each individual member send in their thoughts on which, if any of those, are worthy of continuing to study. So whether we narrow it down to 4 plans or 3 plans, they'll then review whatever's left, whatever everyone agrees deserves a further look. And they will dedicate a meeting to the review of each of those plans. So my thought is that they will meet at least in January, February, March, possibly in April, before they come up with a recommendation to the selectmen. So the goal is to get a recommendation to the selectmen by May, but they'll take as long as it takes to review the plans and hear from everyone who has comments.
okay, thanks.
Do you anticipate, Nora, those plans may be revised somewhat?
Yes, I
along the
do.
way?
And I think that there could be a 7th one that we haven't seen yet, that'll come out of the discussion. So we started off with 1 back in June, and every time we've had some substantial comments on the plans, and people have talked about, well, wouldn't it be good if we could try this? Have you thought of that? The developer has been extremely responsive, and they pretty much put their architect at our disposal to adjust the plans as everyone thinks would be a more positive direction to go in. So there could be a plan that we've yet to see. Maybe a mix of those things.
There's
They're
gonna be a
probably
merging of this is nice in this plan and this is nice in this plan. And suddenly you can have a plan emerge from what we've already got on the table.
And the goal, just to remind everyone, is to see if there is a public-private partnership that works for the developer, that works for the town, and that provides something that matches the character we'd like to see continue in Islington, but also allows us to have improved buildings and lessen our capital expenses over the years.
And the only thing I put in my notes that would add to it is that if in fact we can't come up with something that we bring to the selectmen and the selectmen can't get behind, and that we can't then negotiate a settlement or a conclusion with the developer and get planning board approval of, I think the alternative is that the town's going to have to step up and start addressing on its own what would be addressed by the developer is the renovation of the Islington Library, which has got a lot of capital needs itself that need to be implemented, and the community center, 2 buildings which, because they're in this situation, in this consideration, we didn't go forward with expensive capital needs. We replaced things that we needed to as they went. However, there was some plumbing that needed to be done. There was some flooding that needed to be addressed in the community center, for instance. There's some minor work to do, I think, some fixing up leaks in the roof of the library. But there's a lot more that needs to be done to those two buildings. So if we can't make them as part of the package, so what would happen with the developer's proposal is he, in exchange for land and the right to develop, will renovate these buildings, or in one case demolish the building, or replace it, and demolish it and replace it with some space for us, which would be the other alternative, rather than having to invest our funds into renovating.
Thank you.
Another thing that I thought you guys wanted to hear a little bit about, although I don't want to put myself in the place of the permanent building committee, was just a quick review of where the two construction projects stand. The fire station itself is moving along. I go to the construction meetings every Tuesday, both for the police and the fire building, and I can report that the fire station is moving along. It's in a better place. The expectation is that the interior of the building will be renovated or finished in the winter, early winter months, and that the exterior won't get done until the spring because of the winter. It's not clear exactly whether or not the fire department will move back in there in the winter and then have the exterior done while they're in the building, or just stay in the temporary structure that they have until all is finished. Actually, it doesn't really make any difference at the moment. The temporary structure is operating and functioning just properly. So, but once the interior, they'll have a much nicer and better quarters to work on. So, with regard to the police station, very much positive. It is a construction project from heaven, as far as you're in the public sector. They're right on target as far as timing. They're right on budget. I sit in on the meetings. The crew that are running that operation are very, very good. Impressive, in fact. So the project's going along quite well. Completion's next
Late
year.
September.
And Mike, is the fire station on budget also?
Yes, but the budget and the construction quality are fantastic. The permanent building committee's doing a great job overseeing that along with Compass. So everything's fine with regards to the budgets on both projects and the quality of construction on both projects.
Any other questions on that from members? It's a good update.
Is the road behind the police station open? Will that be open before the
It's
police
open.
station? It is?
No,
Well,
it's all-
actually, it's, we had to get a telephone pole out of the way, but it was done before the start of school. It's, you should drive it.
Yeah.
Oh, you
It
can
is
go back down?
an amazing improvement, amazing. And to have definition to the American Legion
Right.
parking lot,
Yeah.
curbing, landscaping, some lighting, it's really, the only interruption now is the construction trucks, but Mike works with them in terms of not having it impede the flow on that road. It's just worked out great.
And a lot of additional parking got provided. They had an event there today, it's holiday season, and the parking was nowhere near the disaster it always used to be at Deerfield School.
We had the tree lighting on Sunday.
Yeah.
People managed that. There was a large turnout. It's just, the way they're controlling the construction site, it's just really masterful. Good stuff.
That's
We
great.
will have two great buildings when this is done. One might not be on the same schedule every morning, but otherwise we'll have two great buildings as we
Director of Energy Conservation and the improvements that he's made. He spent about well over $500,000 now of monies that we received from green communities for energy efficiency improvements, boilers, LED lighting throughout the town. And then he's coupled that with incentive monies that he's gotten from Eversource and deals that this guy seems to get, you know, like he'll get boxes and boxes of light bulbs he's paying $1 for that would cost, you know, $10 or more and we're putting them in and improving the lighting. So Tom Philbin's, you know, he's a guy that's been around for a long time and he knows how to do a deal. And he knows what he's talking about. A lot of people look to him for advice from other communities. That's how well respected he is. He's completed the LED lighting program for the entire town for our street lights. And now we're exploring and starting to talk about what communication improvements we can make using those lights, because they have that dual role that they can also facilitate communication, such as reading meters, water meters, or second meters for the sewer program. He's currently working with the school department on, and Charlie knows this, on putting solar panels on for the schools, which is taking advantage of a program which is about to run out at the first of the year, and so it's a little complicated. But there's a price that the town can get for selling that we get from, I think it's Eversource that gives us the credit, something like 25 cents.
Don't get into the numbers.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't. And because of that, we're maximizing the amount of savings that the town is able to achieve by doing this. So he's done a tremendous job. The other building we heard a lot about, in addition to the improvements that need to be made to the exterior, there were a lot of efficiency issues related to the Patty Lock and the senior center that were pointed out by an individual who was working on the tax write-off program. And so Tom got heavily involved in that and made several improvements last year and is planning to do further improvements in the upcoming.
So it's like the shades, to keep cool air in the summer and warm air in the winter to make it more efficient. I want to add with Tom Philbin, when we hired him, it was on a temporary basis, and the Board of Selectmen just renewed his contract, and we have an energy reserve account that became kind of reserve funds for us to pay him through year end, so when the DPW budget comes forward for next year, they will be folding his position into that budget for FY18. So you'll see that coming, and it's not a large amount. It's amazing the amount of work he does for the town and how much money he's saving us. And it's all good. It's good for the environment, it's good for the town, and he's been a huge asset. We're getting that, the later years of his career, he's just the guru. So we're very fortunate. It's really a good arrangement working very well.
You're probably aware that he came to our first meeting in September, gave us an amazing presentation of what he's been doing, what he's working on. And I think we all agree that he's a special
I think we all want in our own homes to kind of go through and
Yeah.
figure that out.
Great
Well, we're keeping him around.
Good.
He just advised us on signing a contract for what we're going to pay for energy. And, it's a guy like that looks at it, knows what, compared all of the different companies that could provide us with energy, and then whether or not we should do a short-term 2-3-year contract or a 5-year contract. And so he had all the answers and had the advice, and just brought me something and I signed it. I don't even have a question. That's what he's talking about. We wanted to know a little bit about University Station. We have 2 aspects of University Station under construction that have been approved by the planning board. The hotel, if you've been down there, is going up. It took them forever to get to the point of actually starting. But once they started, they're going.
It's all framed.
Yeah, it's going like hotcakes. They'll be closed in before the cold season.
Right, they'll go
Working
throughout the
inside.
winter, so it's panel construction, there's no weather issue.
The other one is Del Frisco, which is a restaurant. They'll be off of University Avenue and directly in front of the hotel. That's being constructed, at least a shell is being constructed by NED, right?
Right, we're expecting the permit application by Friday.
So we expect that to go forward and start constructing. It probably won't start
in the spring.
until the spring. They were thinking they were gonna get the foundation in before winter. I'm not sure if that's gonna happen.
Occupancy, the hotel, do we have an anticipated time for when it should be ready?
Late August is their current.
So it won't be open by the end of June?
It will not. But it'll be substantially constructed by the end of June.
We don't wanna get it all at once.
The other thing that the town is working with the developer on is a medical facility that would be located in the park and with the
Phase
so-called village section in phase 2. So there are some details that need to be worked out. You may hear about it in the future. One is that there needs to be a pilot agreement, in lieu of tax agreement, that would be reached with the medical facility, and the developer will be presenting plans on I guess it's correctly termed, plans to modify the master development plan. So hopefully we'll be hearing a little bit more about that in the very near future.
So one thing we did back when we were negotiating University Station going forward and we created the development agreement, there was a provision in the development agreement that if any nonprofit organizations ended up located within the footprint of University Station, they had to go through the Board of Selectmen and enter into this pilot agreement, payment in lieu of taxes, before it could go forward. So what we wanted to do was protect ourselves against the uncertainty, could a university or a college or some large institution come in there and take up a lot of it. We didn't want to find ourselves having that happen and not getting any taxes from it. This will be a fairly small amount of space relative to the overall project, but it still has to go through us, so that's one of the things we're working through now.
Nancy, is that payment, is that a one-time thing, or is it sort of behave like taxes?
Yes,
It's not fully negotiated, but
It could be one of those two things.
Yes.
or a combination
Or a
of the two.
combination of those. Okay.
Clear as mud.
Yeah.
But the answer is yes, it's likely to be a combination.
And then tied to that is the public safety personnel. And so, as you know, the forecast on service needs for University Station, which we did a comprehensive plan for, contemplated a full build-out of University Station. We're better than halfway done. And so occupancy at the housing in the first phase.
We're at 68%.
We still got some to go on that apartment, and if you remember, there was another 300 apartments that is possible for this second phase of the project. So there was a link between, the personnel needs and the service needs of the station and primarily public safety and what they do. So it's likely that this year in the budget process, there will be some modification to the number of personnel we need in public safety. We'll be analyzing that a little bit further to make a proposal for the municipal budget this year. The other thing that was necessary as well, you will recall, is that we didn't have a lot of overnight facilities, given Islington Station could only accommodate 3 persons in the evening, and then the main fire station was pretty much close to capacity. And so we really needed the additional spaces that we provided by Islington Center to really move forward with the remainder of the personnel, or some more personnel for fire department. So those will be addressed in the proposed in the upcoming budget, to the extent that we think that the service needs are there for it.
Mike, we'll obviously be delving into, what the increase in need is with fire and police, but can you quantify that for us? I mean, there's been some press on that, up late. No, you're not able to.
No, we're also in the midst of contract negotiations on that process.
But they have good data now as far as their experience there
Yeah.
on both.
Okay. Monthly data, and, you know, that's broken down, but you can get it analyzed on an
Yeah.
hourly basis.
broken down, so obviously not all things that they deal with are intensive from a personnel standpoint, you know, some might be and some might not be, so.
Mark, can I ask you, you talked about 60% occupancy, so how does 68% occupancy, how does that compare to what their expectations were? Are they feeling good about it, or are they feeling it's behind?
They haven't shared that with us, so I couldn't tell you what they're expecting. I know that our bylaw built in a minimum of 60% before we could consider any additional residential units. They were about, I guess we're going on the second year, they opened in, they were fully opened in January of 2015, so they're almost one full year into fully open. So I couldn't really tell you, they haven't said whether that's what they expected or if they expected it to go more quickly. I can tell you that it's plateaued to a certain degree. They were at over 60% in July, so we haven't seen a significant rise since then. It's not uncommon that people sign one-year leases, and when those leases expire, they move out. So there's definitely been new residents that have come in since the original leases were signed. Some of those leases have ended and those residents have left, new residents, but I don't see a steep climb. We thought that there may be in August and September, when people have, I guess we were waiting for a steep climb there that might bring more school children, and that didn't happen. So there's still at 21 students, and it has not increased. I think they were at 18 students a year ago, now 21.
And what's your perception of how the property is done, or the project is done for the restaurants and the retail parts of it? Do you kind of see other guys coming because these are killing it, or are they?
I hear great things from retail and from restaurant. They're all doing very well, that they've met their expectations. So I expect that we will see more of the same.
That's great.
We have to see what the modification comes in as when the planning board discusses it, what uses would be part of that. I expect it to continue to be mixed use. So the next phase will also have office, some retail, and some residential.
Presumably, when we get to the point where they need to be doing the fiscal analysis, they'll be forthcoming as far as kind of turnover rates and all of the apartments, so we have an idea of, you know.
Yeah, so we get monthly updates on how many apartments are rented and how many in which building are rented, so we can see that there was turnover, knowing that building 1 had been substantially ahead of building 2, that was the first one that opened. But in the last 2 months, building 2 is substantially ahead of building 1, so we know that people who have lived there have since moved out.
And do we get 40B information on that as well? So, I mean, there's some 40.
We get the number of affordable units, yes. So,
And that they're all fully rented and.
yeah, I think they, I know the first building was fully rented, they had 14 units in building 1, and they had 55 in building 2, total of 69 units. And right now, I believe there are 9 units, as of the last month's data, I haven't gotten data for December yet, but as of November, they had 9 affordable units still available in the second building. They have a waiting list, they go through the waiting list, and as often happens, someone qualifies at the time that they put their name on the list, but by the time their name comes up, either they have found somewhere else to live or they no longer qualify. So they still are taking names and methodically.
So they give you
going
enough
through
all the information?
They give me every month, I get information on the number of units in each building, how many are market rate, how many 1-bedroom, how many 2-bedroom, and how many are affordable.
And then like the housing where you qualify once you buy the house, and regardless of what happens to your income, you're in it.
Right.
In the apartments, annually, you have to requalify and be within the 80%
Yeah.
median income. So there'll be some turnover in that regard over time.
Nora, on the building that has the 55 affordable, how many total units in that building?
220 in that building. The first building is 130 units, 14 are affordable. You might remember when we want to do is have one of the buildings have a minimum of 25% of its units affordable, so we can count the entire building. So the second building is 220 units and 55 of those are affordable.
The only thing you didn't mention about University Station is that, as you all know, Sports Authority went out of business, and so they've been, we know NED is pursuing,
Smaller tenants,
two
either
or
two or
three.
three smaller tenants
Yeah.
for that space, so they will break it up.
And they are trying to generate more, pay attention to parking, more activity on that end of things, that generate more flow.
Okay. Any other questions on this part?
That's fine.
We don't have the warrant closed yet, so we can.
I know,
Yeah.
any
We
preview?
can't preview the preview.
No, you can't. Nora gave us a great preview on the planning board, possible,
Possible articles.
possible
We haven't
articles.
even, we don't even know those articles are coming yet, I mean, that's
Right.
the thing.
You
So-
gotta
She gave us a bit of
Yeah,
Um,
If you asked us, I couldn't tell you,
We will have the budget, we will have capital articles, we will have road acceptance articles, we will have the standard fare, yes.
Yes.
We don't know what the other things are yet, and we had one petitioner article come forward for fall town meeting, which we didn't have, so that will automatically go to the annual town meeting, so there's your, that's what we can offer right now.
All right. Any other questions for our guests? No?
Good to see you all.
Thank you very much for coming. Happy holidays. Thank you, Nora. All right. We have a fairly light agenda tonight. In fact, we had thought maybe we wouldn't have a December meeting, but we really wanted to hear from the selectmen.
Good to see you.
Glad we got that update. The only other thing I really had is just to remind you folks of what our schedule is going to be going forward. Our next meeting is on January 4th, and then at the end of January, the 24th, and if needed, the 25th. Those meetings or meeting will be dedicated to the warrant article sponsors. Then in February, we'll be delving into municipal and school budget. Then in March 14th is the night for our subcommittee report. So to remind you folks, and especially our subcommittee chairs, of that work to be done in advance of that date. And then later in March, we'll have our public hearings, and then May 1 is the town meeting. So for those of you who are still in your first year on FinCom, the spring semester is quite a bit busier.
They were spoiled this year too.
Yeah, you
about
were.
our fall town meeting.
You had a town meeting, that's right. So, we'll have a lot of work to do. That's why we kind of like to hear about things in advance as much as possible. But suffice it to say, we're not going to have a huge capital item like the police station that we did last year. So I don't think there will be any big surprises, but I think we've got our work cut out for us. That is all I had. Jane, am I missing anything?
You're good.
Okay, any public and press, any comments? The good of the order?
Just happy to be here.
Thank you for joining us. It's good to have you. Any new business anyone wants to raise? No? Well, I want to wish everyone a very happy and healthy holiday season to you and your families, and look forward to seeing you next year. So, motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everyone.